Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm delighted to welcome Dr. Alisha to my channel, and today is a slightly different topic. We're actually going to talk about health tying into high performance living and a few other subjects along the way. So Dr. Alisha, amazing to have you on my channel.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Yeah, absolute pleasure. So what I'm going to do, the viewers already know what's coming, but I'm going to start with that. Give us that 30,000 view of who you are and what you do.
So I'm Dr. Alisha. I am a human being who loves human beings. I want to create a happier humanity. And how I do that is I work as a medical doctor. I am a certified high performance coach. I am an entrepreneur. I have my own wellness business. And I have launched my own podcast, The Medic Today, to redefine what it means to be a medic today. So it is for my colleagues, for healthcare professionals, because we are human beings before we are our job titles. And I think that's something that's easily forgotten. So that's what I stand for today.
Awesome. Yeah, no, well, it's all great. And what we'll do is at the end, we'll include all the links and everything will be in the description so people can go find and then connect with you. So let's start with health tying into peak performance, because I always like to put it very simply. You can have amazing business people, amazing entrepreneurs who aren't that great in health but do extremely well. However, when I compare them to those who are looking after themselves physically and mentally, I always find that they are higher performers than the ones that are doing well, okay. It just seems to be a different level because, again, they're M.O.T.ing themselves. They're looking after themselves. Do you find that as well?
Absolutely. I mean, exactly like you've put it, you're not going to drive a car that you're not going to M.O.T or service, are you? It's just going to get rattly, it's going to get rusty, and eventually it's going to break down. And we don't want to get our bodies into that state. So there are a lot of business people out there, entrepreneurs, coaches, people are out there working hard for the life that they want to create. But ultimately, how are you going to live that life if you're not looking after yourself? What is it that you're living that life for? What is it that you're working so hard for? And I think that's something to really anchor for yourself. Why do you do what you do? A lot of people do it for the financial security for their families, so they can travel and have freedom of their time. And actually, if you're on the grind and on the hustle, the question is, are you looking after yourself enough that you can actually live through your life and thrive and not just survive it day to day to pay the bills? And I think that's a hack that's really missed. And I know a lot of people who don't sleep very well because they need to use up their hours, to be productive, is what they say. When in fact, there's so much science around rest and sleep, promoting productivity and not just, working hard all the hours that you can. I think particularly through the pandemic, a lot of people have realized that mental health is a problem. It's something that most people have to some extent, some anxiety, stress, overwhelm. And until we get on top of our mental health and our physical health, our bodies aren't going to be performing at their peak performance. So if you're not looking after yourself, the work that you are doing is just not going to be at that optimum level. So even if you think you're doing really well, imagine if you do look after your health, you are eating well, you are exercising, you're getting enough sleep. Imagine the level you can take your life and your business to.
It's really strange because this is like the one where almost no one can commit to it 100%. I'm sure there are some people that are paid who are, in great physical condition and that they're incentivized by money or a brand sponsorship. But I find it so strange how when it comes to food, especially, which can be the downfall for so many people and their health, is that we can't seem to get a grip on food and hunger, when that is the one thing that can slow us down, that can prevent us, that can bring on illnesses and diseases, just not living in balance of what we eat and staying healthier. Well, why is it that we seem to give in when it comes to food, which leads to obesity? And it's just something that almost is so addictive, and people can't step back and go, what I'm doing and what I've been doing for years and the way I'm eating is not good for me, therefore it will equal no longevity. I'm shortening my life. Why is it we can't, as humans, we cannot seem to get a grip on our own M.O.T? Why?
I think we're just not used to it. I think we have expectations of ourselves as people that we need to work hard, eat, sleep, so we can work hard. And then we have a holiday to have a break and maybe look after ourselves. That's just life. That's how humans live today. And we need to completely transform that narrative. You're not going to go into your business without a structure or a plan because you don't know what's going to happen and it will just crumble, right? We're just not doing it for ourselves. We need to look at ourselves as our own projects. And actually, the reason we give in is only because we don't plan. If we have planned out our meals and our snacks and we know what we're going to consume even before we get hungry, already we're going to be making better choices because it's structured out, it's planned out. And that's something that I've learned because I used to play a lot of team sports. And of course, that all shut down when lockdown kicked in a couple of years ago. I was never a gym person. It was never my thing, but that's what opened up first before team sports came back. And I tried to make myself go, and my level of self-accountability with that was not very good at all. So I got myself a personal trainer, and luckily he was somebody who, didn't cut me any slack. He was keeping on top of my nutrition. And it was the first time even I looked at what I'm consuming, keeping on top of my training sessions. And it made me realize, actually, particularly when you're working in a pressured environment, I work in the NHS and I run businesses. Wherever you work in your businesses themselves, there's always decisions to make. The pace changes all the time. It fluctuates and you're having to adapt every moment of every day. And really, through personal training, I realized that when I planned my meals, I was just so much happier and more productive during the day. Stressful decisions that I had to make didn't feel as stressful anymore. And by the end of the day, I just felt good rather than empty and exhausted.
Yeah.
And that's just through me taking on some personal training. The impact on every area of my life, including my work, was immense. And actually, we can get a grip on it if we choose to. I think a lot of people put something like that at the bottom of the priority list. Mm-hmm. They think it's wasting time, like lunchtime, you've got half an hour. Okay, what's the quick thing that I can have? And usually things that may be nutritious that you can get quickly tend to be more expensive. And naturally, we think we're just going to waste time and waste money, by being more conscious about our nutritional choices. When in fact, if you plan it well, it doesn't have to cost you as much. It will fill you up and it will increase your productivity and performance because you are actually fueling your body the way it needs.
I think there's some really important points you've touched on that I just want to pull apart there, just so we go over it for the viewers. Is planning. I've just had this conversation in a group, one of the groups that I run, and it was about social media actually, and positioning yourself in the industry and stuff like that. But it comes back to planning, and a lot of things become overwhelming and really hard to do when you're doing them in a moment's notice or spontaneously, because you haven't planned. You go back to that word, you haven't planned for it, so it seems a bit of a chore, a bit of a task, and it's just quicker to buy the Subway because there hasn't been a plan. And just like business, just like a workout, if you're structured and you've got this good routine and discipline and this plan to follow, and that's why I always talk about pre-planning the night before what you're going to do the following day. Because if you wake up, like I always say this, if I was to come down here in the morning and try and work out what I'm doing for that day, I'm wasting time. Whereas if I take that 10 minutes, and that's all it takes is 10 minutes to plan, I read it like a Bible, I know exactly what I'm doing and on my day. So it's so important. Another thing which I sort of want to dive into is the longevity of enjoying what we're doing now. So again, a lot of people will go, but I need to work that 18 hour 24/7 every 7 days a week. I only sleep 2-3 hours, and look, granted, sometimes I only sleep 4 hours, but I still find it strange that a lot of us, we're making decisions now that we want to enjoy later in life, but we're not actually looking after ourselves mentally and physically in the here and now. And I find that odd, that we can't seem to sort of vision that the stress that we're putting under our body is actually going to shorten that term, so we may not enjoy what we're working for right now. It's a bit odd.
It's interesting, isn't it? We know it. We know that this is what we're doing. We know that if we don't sleep well, we don't eat well, we're not healthy and we're not going to have as long a lifetime. Yet nothing changes. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Have you ever read a book, and this is also for the viewers, I recommend this to everyone, is a book by Dr Nick Hall, PhD, I Know What to Do, So Why Don't I Do It?
I've heard of that.
That is a fantastic book. And when you come away from that book and you think, I really do, but I just don't. And I don't know why. It's like, it amazes me when we're always evolving in technology, but when it comes back to us just listening to our grandparents, when our grandparents say, you know, don't go out in the sun without sun lotion because I have skin cancer. And the reason I have skin cancer is because I didn't wear sun lotion. So make sure you wear sun lotion. And still, little things like that we know we should be doing, we don't. And in the moment, we just think, oh, it'll be all right. 30 years later, we might have little, signs of potential skin cancers and stuff like that. And you think we could have prevented it. We know enough now, right? It's like that whole blueprint. If you want a business to work and be really successful, you can copy another blueprint of a business that did really well, but we don't always do that. And it's a weird way that how humans work.
Yeah, I think we live in a world of convenience and attention. There is so much happening digitally. There's so much happening in life. Everyone's got different values, visions, what they want out of life, what that looks like. And actually, there's just no commitment or intention. It's like, sliced, below the knees. It's just you don't even give yourself a chance to be healthy. And where things are so convenient, if you don't have sun lotion on you, it's like it just slips your mind. Your attention just isn't there. Same thing with nutrition, with your sleep. There's always 101 things to do. And the thing is, that's never going to change. There's always going to be work to do. There's always going to be stuff that's showing up. The question is, how are you going to prepare yourself to take it most effectively for you, your health, and for the outcome that you want to achieve? And there are ways around it. I think a lot of people that I meet, they find even planning overwhelming. I prefer pen and paper, but I've had to learn to use Google Calendar for myself because it's the one I carry my phone everywhere I go. I don't always carry my diary, and I need to time block. I need to know what I'm doing when, and I hated it. In fact, I still find it a little bit of a chore, but I know that when I do it, everything goes as planned. Things show up and I can adapt because it's all on paper or all on Google Calendar and I can see it. It's not all up in my head. There's such thing as decision fatigue. Like you said, make your decisions the night before, the actions that you want to complete on the next day. So when you wake up, you're not having that sort of brain overwhelm. It's written down, it's there, you know exactly what you want to do. I do exactly the same thing. I've got a whiteboard. I call it a success board, but it's just a whiteboard with a marker. And the night before, I set my top 3 actions for the morning. I wake up naturally quite early now. I do go to bed quite early as well, but I wake up naturally quite early. I have my morning routine. My 3 actions are completed before my day even starts. And so when I do go to the NHS for work, I feel like I've already accomplished the things that I've wanted to do. And it makes such a difference to how I show up. I'm not worried about potentially finishing late or something showing up at work and throwing me off. Like I can handle that because I know that I've got my life on paper or on a calendar under control. And it's not an overnight practice. It's taken me a long time, but intention and commitment to keep going, keep sticking with the practices, to get to a point now where actually it is a lot easier for me because it's now a habit that's formed. And so when things don't quite go to plan, it's easier for me to navigate, to adapt, to be flexible, and make sure that I'm not thrown off track so much and I can bring myself back.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a couple of really good points, especially around habits, breaking bad habits into the good habits, just having that routine structure that is automatic. You don't even think about it. What do you think in terms of living in a world at the moment? I really think this is half the problem of especially young influencer people is, we have access, everything's instant. I always say this, we can download any app, you can invest in any app, you can do pretty much everything at the click of the button. Is that we hear a lot of you only live once. I mean, I can't stand that YOLO. And I think so many people have heard that when they make a decision, it's for the here and now. So they think, well, I might not be here tomorrow. And you can't really go around living like that. I suppose, no one knows if they're going to get hit by a bus, but you don't wake up thinking I am going to get hit by a bus. You're almost going to manifest it, and the world of equilibrium or whatever. If you keep thinking of it, it's just going to balance out, and that will happen. That'll be your death. But I think we also hear that too much. I think that's got instilled in people. But also when we hear big influencers such as Gary V, I can't think of the other chap, Dr. Jordan Peterson and other people like this, we take a lot of segments of big, rich, powerful, influential people who say hustle all the time, work all the time. And actually, I think we can take good messages from these people, but you have to dissect them and then apply them to your life. You can't think, okay, Gary V has a company that's like 70 million. So he can have all the time to do what he's saying he's doing. But for me, I can't. But what I will do is I'll take a positive message out of what he's saying. And do you think people struggle to dissect, and instead they're influenced quite easy to the point where they just listen to all of it and think that should be me?
Absolutely. I think, people listen and see through their filters. That's individual to each of them. And I think it's a bit like horoscopes. It applies to everybody. Everyone can fit themselves into a horoscope. And it's like, it's challenging because it's like manifesting. You want to hear what you want to hear. You don't actually hear what is being said. And it's being said within a particular context, and you're listening to it through your own context. And that's the difference. And we need to have enough awareness and even self-awareness to understand our own unique situations. And like you said, how we can take snippets from other people and apply it to ourselves in a way that works in a powerful way for us. Because ultimately, I don't believe there is necessarily a right or wrong or a truth. I think, you can have something like you only live once, in some contexts, I absolutely love that. It frees me up, and, I will do a thrilling adventure hike somewhere because you only live once. But at the same time, I don't want to make every single decision every single day aligned with you only live once.
Canyon.
Yeah. Jump off a cliff. You only live once. Don't check your parachute. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And it motivational quotes, for example, we've got social media in our hands. We Google everything, and there's so much we can look for. And a quote will mean something for me, and it will mean something different for you. But that's because we see it in the context of our own lives and through our own filters, and that's absolutely okay. But I think you're absolutely right that to take things and reframe them into an empowering context that works for you uniquely in your life, I think that's the way to go. Yeah. It's like redefining what success means. Success looks different to everybody. It can be having a great job. It can be freeing up your time completely. It can be, being so rich you never have to work again. Like, it could be anything, but actually it's unique to you. Happiness is unique to you. Whatever happiness looks like to you and me and everybody else is going to be different. In the same kind of way, what people say, what big influencers say, you can shift that into a context of your own and reframe it in a way that will just lift you up. There are so many negative quotes and difficult situations and challenging conversations that I come across that I could take as it is, or I could shift them and reframe them to a way that, works for me. And I have to do that day in, day out anyway. If I didn't, I'd be nuts, right? By now.
Yeah, I think it's really important the way we perceive things, because I can't remember the exact quote, but I thought it was brilliant when I heard it, and I don't know where I heard it, but it was, a song is a song until we're going through something in life when that song means something. So you'll only listen to a song and it will just be the tune that you like, but then when something's going on in your life, you then listen to the words and then you relate to the words. And obviously how we relate and sort of perceive things is really important, because there can be a way of seeing things in a bit of a negative light, which can put you on a downer. Or do you listen to something, and also knowing when not to listen to stuff? Because I mean, look, I think everyone, if anyone's got TikTok and is watching this, I'm guilty of spending far too many hours, and there's that balance, isn't there? Again, are you more of a consumer or a creator? The onus is on us, isn't it? It's very much our responsibility. Let's talk a little bit about switching off. I have a bit of a belief that, for me, I don't tend to make decisions past 7 p.m. that are important, only because I find that I won't really make the best decision because I'm pretty tired. I might still be working or something like that, but I wouldn't make a decision. What's your views and thoughts on, making decisions late at night and knowing when to switch off?
That's a really interesting one, and it takes a lot of self-awareness, which you clearly have. You know your body, you know the state that you're in. I think everybody's body clock is slightly different. So when you're most productive can be a particular time, can be opposite ends of the day. And so being aware of how you function and I think the important thing is not just your physical state at that point in the day, but it's also your emotional and mental state. Again, by the end of the day, you're going to have decision fatigue. Your brain gets tired. Your mind gets tired the more you stretch it throughout the day. I prefer to make big decisions earlier in the morning when I'm fresh, when I'm energized. I've had my breakfast, I'm feeling good in myself. As the day goes on, I do get a bit more tired. So I try not to make decisions later on in the day. But it really takes switching off, like you said, in order to allow your body to recharge, so then you can get yourself back into a state that is powerful. And this can be really difficult, particularly in the digital world that we live in now, because there are so many factors. Even, I don't know if you have a blue light filter on your phone, but light significantly impacts your health, your circadian rhythm, your ability to sleep and recharge. And not many people know about it, actually. You see a lot more people wearing these blue light glasses, do use blue light filters on your phones. It does make the screen go a little bit yellow, but actually it's better for your vision, for your health, for your ability to sleep. And just like the morning starts the night before, in the same kind of way, making a decision during the time of day that works for you, actually to make that decision at that point in the day, it starts way before. And it's making sure that you are refueling your body, you are resting your body, because you want to be in your best state. If you're going to make a big decision about your business, your life, your career, about your health, you want to be making it from your strongest point in the day. And how can you maintain a sustainable level of energy and good mood and health for enough of the day that you can get all your decisions made, you can have all your actions be completed in that time. So it will be different for everybody depending on the body clock. But one thing that I'm really passionate about is light. I'm someone, I never used to wake up early. Now I'm awake at 5 a.m., but that's because I go to bed between 8:30 and 9 p.m. I'm not up till midnight. I cannot hack that at all. I need my 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And if I don't get it, I'll still wake up naturally at 5 because that's what I do. But then I can feel it during the day that maybe I'm a little bit more grumpy, or I get a bit more stressed more easily. I'm not the perfect human, but I try and live towards habits that I know work powerfully for me. So making those decisions when there is so much information around you, a lot of situations happening, decisions to make, you want to make sure that physically and mentally and emotionally, you're in the best zone to make that. So having the awareness to know when is that point in your day, I think is definitely the first step, understanding your own body.
Yeah, some massive takeaways there. Really, really good points. As we sort of come to a close, I'm just going to ask you for sort of your top tips for someone watching this thinking, okay, got to be a little bit tighter on the diet. I do want to work hard, but I'm just finding a bit of life balance and, just overall trying to find their peak performance. I would just say, just before you go, I would say my top tip, just one that has always served me very well, doing long days and being able to recover, is a high intake of water. I've always taken in 3 to 4 litres every day without fail, and my body's used to that, and it just constantly sort of flushes out toxins, keeps me very hydrated, fresh, not often tired, in the sense of being able to go long time. So what would be kind of your top tips for someone looking to achieve that ultimate peak performance? Yeah, massively. I mean, I used to run two, I still run one, accountability groups, and I run a couple of other groups. And again, there's accountability in all of it. And I can certainly second that it's so important for any kind of success or any kind of, navigation through the crazy world that we live in to have accountability. So there's some amazing points there. Just as we finish, it's been an incredible podcast. Where can people reach out, find and connect with you?
Sure. So I'm Dr. Alisha Damani. Most of my handles are my name. I'm fairly active on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I have my own website. You can Google my name and find me everywhere.
Awesome. Well, we'll pop it all in the description so people can find it nice and easy. So thanks so much for coming on, and everyone who's watched so far, thank you, and we'll see you all very soon.